Welcome back, everybody. You are listening to In the Company of Charity podcast. My name is Sister Liz, and here I am with Sister Elizabeth Grime. How are you, Sister? How's it going?
I am doing really, really well, Sister. How are you?
All is well here in the world. Getting ready for Vow Day, Feast of the Annunciation, the day on which this podcast releases. So, happy feast, everybody.
Yeah, happy feast to you, Sister Liz. How many years now? Do you know how many years you've been?
Yes. So I've been in the community 17, and so I've been making vows for 12 years. 12
Wow.
delightful, wonderful
That's,
yeses to the
yeah, I
Lord.
think I've been in for 29 years. And so 24. So I made vows the fifth year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So 24
It's
years. Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And
Next year will be the big one. 30 years in, 25 years vowed. Woo!
oh
That'd be
my
exciting.
gosh.
Yeah.
Good for
Yeah.
you. Fidelity to the charism,
There
everybody.
you go. There you go.
So I was going to share with you how my Lent has been going so far because I gave up some things and had some intentions for Lent, and then God just had his own intentions for my Lent. I
He's
I was
such a
on a
god.
service.
Isn't he such a
He
god?
is what a guy. So I was on this spring break service trip with Virginia Tech. They came to Emmitsburg, and I was able to be on a crew with the students. Different place every day, and then sometimes two places in a day. I picked up the gift that keeps on giving, poison ivy or oak or sumac. I don't really know what it was, but it has been giving so many things. You can't
I
see
can,
it, but Sister can. My
I
arm.
can see it. She is truly infected with something. Yeah. Oh, the poor dear. Sorry to hear
the
that.
the suffering, not in silence, but the suffering.
Well, I can see, I can hear that. Yes, that this is the first thing after "Happy Us." We're renewing our vows to I have poison oak. It's like,
Isn't
okay, well
something?
that went
What a
differently than I
Lent!
thought. Yeah, those service
But it's
trips,
yes,
they'll get you every time.
there we had a mother general that said the events it's God, which in our translation into English would be God is in the events, and he is teaching me a new thing in Lent, which is exciting and a
What
struggle.
lesson do you think is?
It's yet to be determined,
Yeah.
but we're getting there. We're getting there,
Well, that's
y'all.
yeah. Oh, that's
Carrying our crosses.
I can appreciate it. I do remember once a while back going on a service trip with a particular group in Mary Washington College. Yeah, where a young discerner
Mm-hmm.
was
Mm-hmm.
encouraging me to be there, and in the hills of Kentucky. We were in Harlan, right? Were we in Harlan,
Oh,
Kentucky?
Harlan County, Kentucky. What a
Kentucky,
gift.
yeah, yeah. The only thing I
You
remember
did
really
not get
just
poison ivy
I
during.
did not. No, I did not. I survived. I had the top bunk of this bunk in the bunkhouse. Oh, I just remember
Yes.
beds and bunk beds everywhere, and trying to be. I was significantly older than the college students who were jumping in and
Mm-hmm.
out, and I was trying
Mm-hmm.
to be very graceful climbing into my bunk every night. So I managed though, and no poison ivy. I did end up under a porch though, trying to put a skirt, which I had never heard of before,
It's a
under
thing.
a trailer home. And I was told there might be snakes under there, and that kind of freaked me out. So I hammered very quickly and got myself out from under the porch. That's all I'm going to say.
When you're serving the Lord, all kinds of interesting developments happen.
That's
That is for
right.
sure.
That's right. But we will pray for you for sure with your ailment at the moment, and hope
Yes,
that you
I'll
get
get
some
there.
good medication, calamine lotion, and all that stuff on there.
All the things.
All the
All the
things.
things.
Yeah.
But we have a cool person to interview to introduce you all to today, Sister Mary Ellen Thomas, and what a great interview for our saying yes again, our charism to serve Christ in those who are poor. And she just gives some really beautiful reflections about her own experience and the people that she's serving. So any thoughts you want to share as an
Yeah,
introduction?
well, and I just want to remind Sister Mary Ellen, I hope she's listening to her interview and see how wonderful it was. It is really a great interview on, I think, on just reminding us, as you were talking about, getting Lenten sacrifices and penances in dramatic ways. She really spoke about the subtle and simple ways in which Lent can be an experience that brings us closer to God and brings us closer to each other in our suffering. And she talked about people that she's serving who really she realizes, listening is what she can do. That is the balm in Gilead, right? Is the ability to
Mm,
listen and for someone to feel appreciated, feel heard, feel respected. That in and of itself can bring about healing. So I appreciated that in this interview and in her comments. It was striking to me. I remember just as we were talking about, when we came to the company, I was on a discernment retreat many years ago, over 30 years ago. And Sister Mary Ellen was one of the vocation directors at that time, but she was for the Northeast province. And when she found out, because as soon as I opened my mouth, she knew I wasn't
you're
from the
from
South.
Boston.
She asked why I wasn't going up north. Like, why was I discerning in Emmitsburg province and not the Albany province, which is the northern province? And at that time, I had my one parent in the south, one parent in the north, and I met the daughters in the south. So, but I remember her even then, in over the years, have always been impressed with her very calm demeanor and a very open heart to people. She asked the question and accepted my answer and was still very inviting. Like, well, if you change
Mm.
your mind. And today, we are all in the same province after
Yes.
our own process of coming together. So I heard that in her interview as well. That very welcoming, very calm, very inviting person who gives you the space to just be you. So I appreciated that, and I hope the others are able to hear that and know that that's real authentic to her.
Mm. Yes, and we hope your Lent is going well, and the next episode after this will be during Holy Week. So may you use this time to grow closer to the Lord in silence and prayer and the sacraments, and just listen to this encouraging episode, which I think leaves a lot for us to ponder. So God bless you guys, and we'll see you on the next one. This is Sister Liz, and I'm here with Sister Mary Ellen Thomas. So delightful to have you, Sister Mary Ellen. Thank you so much for making the time.
Okay, Sister Mary Ellen Thomas, Wilmington, Delaware, a place very close to my original home outside of Philadelphia. And it's my fourth year, and I work with a group of 95 seniors. It has been a wonderful experience. So they'll be part of our sharing because they're also participating in Lent. So that's who I am. And I've been a daughter of charity, believe it or not, over 50 years. And it
Oh,
seems like 10.
so we are getting ready for Lent. So tell us about where's your head at? What have you been thinking about so far this Lent?
Well, I have really entered into thinking about Lent. Usually I participate actively, um, but this year is different. What's happening this year is I have been searching and traveling, and that has led me into a greater, deeper experience of the presence of the Lord. Yes, it's called me to longer periods of prayer. Yes, it has made me more aware and pulled me towards compassion towards others, especially those I serve. And yes, it's the Lord leading and I listening So, in a real brief summary, there, that's what's happening. It is a new experience for me, and I'm after all these years in as a daughter of charity, you would think I have been there and gone farther, but this is where I am, and it's an exciting period because my mind is on the Lord in others.
Sometimes we can feel like, okay, I've done so many Lents. I know what works. I know what I'm going to give up. I know what I need to work on. And it feels like a little bit of a routine in some ways of, ho hum, okay, another Lent. And sometimes our maybe less than stellar attitude toward it can get in the way of the way the Spirit wants to move us. And it's a great to hear from you that even after all these years, you're still in it and you're still wanting to grow and learn and be closer to the Lord in this.
Absolutely. This is it's really the Lord's efforts. I experience him leading, and that is fantastic. But what's even more amazing is it's those around me. It's in his presence, his compassion is seems to be very much alive in those I'm connected with, especially the poor. So that's really kind of encouraged me to be look for all the ways I know and have learned over the years the experience of what the Lord can do when I step back and let the Lord lead. And so Lent calls me to that quiet time, to more reading, spiritual reflections, music, the creative way of, and a deeper quiet. This is probably going to be a memorable Lent. And I might add that it's also about being called to share my experience of Lent. So I really thank you for that. That that kind of spurred me on to say, Lord, come on, tell me more. So it's a time for change. It's a time for reflection. It's a time for listening. I'm so grateful that we go to daily mass because I'm listening carefully, attentively, uh, and that kind of spurs me on to also live that day in the awareness and the presence of the Lord. Do I do it all the time? No. But do I look back and say, oh my God, there's the Lord? There's his mother, a homeless person no longer on the streets. That's an answer to prayer. But I'm saying, oh my goodness, there's the Lord expressing um, compassion for someone that was living a life that was going to eventually kill her. It was too rough on the streets for her. So, anyway, that's an example of how, like, gosh, I hope I don't think I'm the only one experiencing this.
Um, we as daughters have to like take advantage of the prayer, community, and service, which are, the three pillars of our life together. Of okay, I have an experience at our ministry, but it comes into a new perspective, or there's a new depth to it when I take it to prayer, when I take it to community and learn and hear the other sisters say, wow, that's very similar to how I have done X, Y, or Z, or my experience is this. And that way I can learn from her and say, wow, I've got to come back and I've got to act, even better in my ministry, learning from each other. And what a great time in Lent to be able to do that, where um, our whole focus is about getting ourselves ready to celebrate the resurrection, but we don't just skip to the resurrection. I'm sure we would all like that, right? Where we don't have to think about hardship
Mhm.
or the struggles
Yes.
that we have or the worries that people have. But that's really part of the experience. It's the Paschal mystery, and the people that you're serving are living that out every day. And to say a little bit more about some of the stories that you hear and what is that teaching you about death and new life, about persevering in struggle? What is it teaching you when you see the others and their stories and their issues that they bring to the table?
It's a powerful question. A person comes to mind immediately, and it's because I'm with the most poor. There's no doubts in my mind about that. But anyway, a person had no place to go, and we could do as much as we could. She never lost faith that the Lord would come through for her. She was dying. I mean, in the midst of all this, she had open heart surgery, but she had faith, a deep faith that the Lord would come through for her. She taught me to trust. Yes, we have all our ways. We network with everybody in social services, but there were no answers. The answer was in her faith. She was able to hold on, and the Lord would come through for her. Blessed Mother would respond. She had church members saying to her, "We're with you." Our program offered her some solace during the day. She needed more. She never became angry and upset. She just simply said, "The Lord's going to change my life and I'll be okay." And it happened. Her faith sustained her for a year and a half. I'm not saying it was easy, but she met. I was in the dark space of, "Come on, Lord, what's happening here?" But the more I said that, the more she said, "The Lord will come through." So I was strengthened by that person. I learned something, that you never let go of your trust in the Lord. We're not working with situations that are easy. We're working together, and I might use that word together, to change a situation. But we also need that solid faith in the Lord, that He's with us throughout the journey, throughout the desert, as we heard on Sunday. Faith is a, a grace, and she witnessed that to me every day for a long period of time. And I'm a person who wants a quick answer, but the Lord wanted me to walk with her and let her. In a way, she was serving and helping me, but we were working together. And I have to say, I have to really and truly express my gratitude that the Lord hung in with us, protected her, kept her safe.
As people who we have been blessed, we have, you know, education, we have the ability to support each other in community. We have so many gifts as sisters that sometimes it's easy to forget how much we need God, because we
Yeah,
are
yeah.
we are high achieving, we're competent, we're smart, and people assume, for
Mhm.
right or wrongly, that we have all of the answers, and that if people come to us who are in need, that we're going to be able to solve their problem in some way or help them. And it just, for me, a theme that comes back of the spiritual poverty that comes to us, that reminds us that we need God, because there's a natural ability that we've all been given, many abilities, naturally speaking, but at some point those are going to come to their fullest potential and still might not be enough. And that's where God, in his supernatural nature, has to step in and has to create miracles and make roads where there aren't any. And and I think there's that humility. It's not a mistake that we have that as one of our virtues, because we're dealing with people daily who are at the end of their rope, at the end of their strength, and they need that supernatural, that miracle, the presence of God that you mentioned that your client needs, and she just trusted. And what a great example that she is to us to be able to say, I don't know how this is going to go, but God is big. God is
Is-
strong, and he can come through for me. What a great testament.
Isn't it true? Now, one of these reflections was a real call to be still. And in that stillness, I have found um, in listening, the healing and the people that I'm with are able to discern. They need somebody to listen. And it is a great practice on my part. And out of that listening, they're able to sort out what's happening. Or, and I, and then they, because of who we are, they feel confident and trusting to share what's going on. But I am being called to stillness. Sit down with them. I can do all the services. Thank God I've been there long enough. But that sitting down with them and listening, and it's only a few sentences before they're sharing something that they're trying to sort out in their life. I love that trust. And I must listen because it's going to call for a response. And it may be their response. And I'm not sure I'm even being clear enough for you, but it's a moment where you know the presence is with you. And then they get so happy when they feel like they've solved that problem. There's going to be more to come, but I think what's happening in this Lent is appreciation for the Lord's presence with us through prayer, through listening, through being still and observing what's happening. So there's a powerful experience in being still and being quiet.
I think that's so interesting you mentioned that, because I come from a social work background,
Me
and
too.
they say like half the intervention is the relationship of trust that you've built with a client, and that the healing that can come is because of the quality of our presence with them. And I think you just hit on a nail on the head as far as how do we serve people well? Well, it starts with listening, a listening presence,
Mm-hmm.
not a like listen so that I can, tell you what you need to know, or,
Oh.
solve your problem or give you the resource, but
Mm-hmm.
listening for listening's sake so that someone can feel understood.
So true. Um, Possibly you've come across the book The Way of the Pilgrim. It's an old book. And
Mhm.
I see all these quotes. I need to read it. I think that's very important. This is all in these last 5 days, by the way. I need to read it. So I read it. It's a little book, and you can read it in an hour, I guess. And I said, oh my gosh, it's only saying pray constantly over and over and over again. And I thought, oh, I thought there'd be more. Well, that has stuck with me. So I put the book aside, and all of a sudden things are happening and connecting. Unless we have that deep time with prayer, and thank God we have opportunities and time aside in our day, I would not be talking to you about being still. It comes with prayer and praying constantly. And we were talking about the outcomes of things and the need for faith. This is very real. It's not something pie in the sky or something. If we just pray, everything's going to be fine. It's not that. It's at this time for Lent is leading to that opportunity to grow closer to the Lord. And I believe that's what's happening. And it's just begun.
It's interesting that we're talking about this need for silence and need for quiet. I think well, yesterday we went with the Virginia Tech students to give them a little tour of the shrine here in Emmitsburg. And there's
Mm.
a little place right in the vestibule called the Holy Agony
Oh,
Chapel. And
yes.
it's a little cove, and there's a statue of the angel with the cup, and
Mm.
Jesus is kneeling to receive the cup. And of course, the mosaic behind is all of the apostles asleep at the wheels, like they can't stay and keep watch. And and I said to the students, okay, these guys couldn't keep watch, but we can. We can
Oh,
try, like you can come in this chapel and keep watch with Jesus here. Even those guys are sleeping. We have that opportunity to make up for the lack of a better way of saying it, like to make it right, where we can stay with Jesus in his time of agony, which is
mm,
exactly what we try to do when we're serving people who are suffering in our ministries, because we're trying to keep watch with them. We're trying to be present to them, and they are Jesus to us.
yeah.
Like this is
They
Matthew
are.
25. They are Jesus to us. And sometimes that's the thing. That's the most important thing, is to simply keep watch and witness and say, we're not okay. We don't have all the answers,
Mm,
but we're
mm,
here with you.
mm,
And we're a witness to your suffering and your time of need, and to offer whatever comfort or consolation. you know Most of the time it's the presence. It's not what you said or some encouragement, because a lot of times people can't even hear, they can't process all of that.
mhm.
They just know that you were there with them.
And they'll recall it, which is a confirmation that it was about the Lord, and they take on it looks like an energy, but it really is the grace, or and that calls me to gratitude when I can see what the Lord does for another, and that's constant. That's constant, but um, and that's what this Lent is about.
Yeah, I mean, if the only thing we did this Lent is to realize that Jesus wants a part of our life and is in our life, and
Yeah.
can speak to us and impact us and draw us closer to him and inspire us to to a kind word, or to a extra reaching out to somebody, or to close our mouths when we need to instead of having an opinion about everything. There are ways that the Lord wants to work in us, and that the Spirit wants to prompt us, and probably most of the time we're just too busy or distracted or worried
Yeah,
about our own agendas and checklists to get done for the day.
and we do. You just triggered something in my head. I'm very good at rehearsing what I'd like to say to a person, let's say that I'm in conflict with. I'm coming out like I know what's best. And I'll say to the Lord before I speak, would you, would you help me say what you would say to this person? And so help me God, these words come out of me that were not in my agenda. It was
Mm-hmm.
it was an opportunity, and I recognized it, where there was something else that needed to be said here. No, It's kind of abstract, but it's not. I can prepare, but the Lord wants to say something to, let's say, the person that is in front of me. So anyway, but that reminded me of that. Definitely reminded me that Lent is a special time to choose that way versus my rehearsed way, which
Absolutely.
yeah, it's an excellent
God
experience.
of surprises, a
Yeah.
God of surprises.
And then I'll look back and say, oh my goodness. And it was the funniest part. It brought us together. Didn't separate, brought us together. So it's a learning opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, and what, as we're sort of wrapping up here, what suggestions? I mean, we have a lot of young people that listen to the podcast, young adults who, are trying to figure out their spiritual life or make some sort of progress or whatever that means, being more open to the progress that God wants to work in us, right?
Mhm.
But as people go through their Lent this year, what's your encouragement for them in this journey that we're on?
Okay. I've said it once, but I'll say it again. Pray. Um, the Lord's listening, and He's most, I don't know if He's ever most attentive, He's always attentive. And especially someone that's discerning their life and what the Lord's asking of them. And so prayer is great. The Eucharist is a special opportunity for clarity and strengthening. And the Lord's love for the person. So it's so important to know how much you're loved. And the Lord likes to let us know that all the time. So I would recommend the Eucharist, the Mass, the readings of the day are great for focusing, just focusing. Um, I guess listening to the Lord speaking to you and go with it.
Mm,
If you're never so clear, but if it's of the Lord, of the scriptures, take a jump, take a leap, and go with it and see what happens. Your world could change. I always believe the Lord will say, well done, when we're walking the path that the Lord has invited us to.
absolutely.
Yeah, it's the Lord seems to be very close to us all the time, and especially at this time, especially around discernments. You're discerning something so valuable in your life. So I don't know if that is helpful, but that's
That's
what's.
wonderful.
Thank you.
And thank you for this time and for your wisdom. It's been a real gift and many blessings on you and the work that you're doing and whatever comes in the next year, God only knows, but we'll be ready for it when we stay in prayer and
Thank
community.
you for asking me to join you today. I really am grateful to you. And may the Spirit continue to work with you.